So before we get into all the slides and everything, we're just going to do a little fire ecology 101, all right? We just went through March and April that was pretty hot, pretty dry in South Dakota. And we just got through telling you that if you're going to burn your USDA program land, likely you have to have your burns done by the end of April. That can be pretty conflicting for landowners because we're requiring you to burn in the most arguably dangerous time of the year with hotter, drier conditions in March and April. Or it may be snowing and raining and terribly cold and chilly. So what this chart is looking at is we're just kind of giving you the pros and cons of burning within each of these seasons. And you'll hear through probably my bias, I lean very heavily toward May burning for just about all reasons in the spring. Not all, but almost all. So in March and April, what are the pros and cons of burning in this time of the year in South Dakota? The benefits can be good woody species control. Hotter, drier fires, especially if you're trying to control something like eastern red cedar, which is becoming a growing problem across the state. There may be more labor available, especially in farm and ranch country, because people may not be quite into the heart of their calving season yet, those types of things. And we've got on here less smoke. What do I mean by that? Well, drier fuels produce more of the whiter, lighter smoke than do our heavier fuels that have a lot of water in the smoke, and which is that heavier, dense smoke, which we'll see today, a lot of heavy, dense smoke. So those are some of the benefits of burning in that earlier season. However, the cons are it takes much more water, much more resources to control the fire, much more prep, and we'll get into the prep today. You got colder, freezing temperatures like we talked about, or it's really hot and dry. You got calving season that may be starting in some cases and not available. But also it's historically the most dangerous time of the year to burn, meaning that is the time of year that our volunteer fire departments are chasing the most fires. You know, spring is breaking and people are getting excited. They're starting to burn road ditches off. They might start burning sloughs off, or they're trying to get their CRP burns done. And we have, I went through all of the data quite a while ago. I think I analyzed like 3,000 escape fires in South Dakota, and the vast majority were in that time period because that's when people think it's time to burn. And oftentimes we're under burn bans in April. And so we've got this conflicting issues with landowners. Here you're supposed to get your CRP done, and yet we're in a burn ban, okay? What I can't offer you right now, or nobody in this room can offer you, is a solution to that conflict. But there is reason to burn later for ecological purposes, safety, etc. I can't sit up here and tell you that you should burn outside of the rules of the program. So we're going to let that lie, and we're going to tell you why it makes sense to burn later, okay? So you get into May, and what are the benefits of burning in May? All right, first of all, ecology. When we burn earlier in April, oftentimes we're not actually achieving the desired objective. If our desired objective is to improve the plant community, reduce, say, cool season exotic grasses, etc., we're still very early in the season for that. In fact, if you burn too early if the stated objective is something like, say, brome control, and we burn before it's green, before that brome is put on 2-3 leaves, we're just going to stimulate it, and we're actually going to help it along. The same with things like Canada thistle and some of these other exotic or maybe even noxious. If we burn too early, we're not affecting that plant at all. We have to be burning when that plant is up and growing to really affect it and change the plant community. So that's one thing. The second thing is it's safer. Just simply it's safer. We use less water. Because there's more greenery out there, the fire moves slower. We have much more control. So we can get more done with less. in May. Now there's some cons to that. Getting any amount of labor in May, people start to get real busy. It's planting season, it's, et cetera. So there's got to be a real commitment to wanting to get the burns done at that period of time. But it also takes less people. So there might be more labor available earlier, but it takes more people. In May, we can get by with less. We may not get as great of woody species control if that's truly our target, just because the fires are a little cooler, a little slower. It's not that we don't get some control, but we may not be able to, say, take out a mature stand of cedar trees in May. Sean is with the Mid-Missouri Prescribed Fire Association. They're at the end of their burn season. It's just getting too green. We just can't build enough heat to really control big cedar trees. And there's more smoke, and that smoke is heavier, more dense. What else would be a con of this time of year? Oh, public perception. We got heavier, denser smoke, and people, we'll have to update our list, Jay. Tomorrow I'm coming up with more that we forgot. But what is one of the biggest things that we hear about with prescribed burning is we're killing pheasants. And you can use pheasants as a surrogate for you're killing birds. That's actually not true in the sense that we're not killing adult birds, we're not killing nesting hens. We are burning up nests. And I caution people, don't ever defend prescribed fire and say that, no, we're not really affecting nests. Yeah, we are. We're burning up nests. Absolutely, we are. And we have to be honest about that. But we're not burning up hens, and we're not burning up mothers, whether that's your small grassland songbirds or the pheasants or the grouse, turkeys, whatever, ducks. Those birds will re-nest, and we know through some research and monitoring that re-nesters are very successful. So she's not going to re-nest in that same burn patch because there's nothing left there. But they're very successful at re-nesting. And so what the take home is that why we burn is we're not so much focused on the bird or the family, we're focused on their home, right? And I used the analogy yesterday, if you've got a family but you're homeless or your home is not very nice, you're going to want to put your effort into building that home. And that's what we're trying to do with fire and the bird community. We can go through, and we'll see when we're out there today, very low quality habitat. In fact, I'm trying to think, did we flush a single nesting bird yesterday? And that's a hard reality. I didn't see a single nest. And a place like this with the lake right next door, we should have some upland ducks nesting on this site. We should have mallards. We should have, maybe a few gadwalls, pintails, a couple teal. I mean, we should have saw something. And I don't even think we saw a hen pheasant yesterday, or I didn't.
I saw one hen pheasant fly out of that last burn.
Did you?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Meadowlarks.
there were some meadowlarks.
Bobolinks.
There's a few bobolink males hanging around. I didn't see the females. I'm sure they're out there. I'm not saying that we didn't have any nests out there. But what we try to do with these fires is create that mosaic. So what we're setting up with the burns that we did this year is primary nesting habitat for next year and for years to come. Pros and cons of May. I just am a huge advocate after doing this for so many years that if you can give me a 4-week window to burn, I'm going to burn in May. That's where I find the most gelling of the primary objectives that I'm trying to accomplish. And we can accomplish woody species control in May as well, but we just can't get these larger crown fires to occur. And those are fires also that are, we're kind of teaching Fire 101 today. Some of the stuff that Sean does down in the Missouri River breaks is kind of like Fire 401. We're not going to get there today, but we'll talk about some of those effects.